Do they know something we don't? US stocks up on nearly $300 million worth of radiation sickness drug, but officials insist this has nothing to do with Vladimir Putin's nuke threats. And yet here it is, guys, from the Department of Health and Human Services. HHS purchases drug for use in radiological and nuclear emergencies. So the buying of $290 million worth of this anti-radiation drug by the US for use in nuclear emergencies is just a coincidence, guys. Nothing to see here. Let's just forget about the fact that a couple of weeks ago, Putin warned the West over the use of nuclear weapons, and he said he's not bluffing. And yet now the officials are just claiming that this has nothing to do with that, as they stock up on this radiation drug. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, the Nord Stream operators are saying that the authorities are not allowing them to inspect the damages on the pipeline. This is such a blatant cover-up that is happening there right now. The operators of two Baltic Sea gas pipelines that linked Russia and Germany until they both sprang major leaks last week said they were unable to inspect the damaged sections because of restrictions imposed by the Danish and Swedish authorities. Oh, go figure. That's exactly who I warned about in my video here. The Nord Stream pipeline false flag is a war on Germany, not Ukraine. The Nord Stream pipeline, which connects Russia to the EU via Germany, has been sabotaged. And when asking the question, qui bono, the only logical outcome is NATO, along with its allies, like the US, Poland, Britain, and the Danish and Swedish militaries. And indeed, here we are, folks. Swedish police are now at the head of probing the Nord Stream leak site, which obviously strengthens suspicions of gross sabotage. So we're going to talk about all of this and much, much more in this video, guys. But just before we do, really quickly, I want to tell you about my friends at Patriot Gold Group. Because if you're paying attention to what's happening on the global stage geopolitically, you'll know that Vladimir Putin has recently announced that they are about to announce a new reserve currency that would rival the dollar. He's hooking up with Brazil and India and China and maybe even Saudi Arabia. And this new reserve currency that is going to rival the dollar could be backed by gold. And I know that viewers of this channel are smart enough to know that in times of inflation and potential global recession, gold is always held out as a great hedge against these high inflation and recession and just troubling times in general, guys. So when you call this number on the screen right here, you will get connected to a free consultant, a guide who will help you guys set up a plan moving forward. These guys specialize in IRAs and 401ks that are backed by precious metals. Again, when you call this number right here, you get connected to a free consultant guide, costs you nothing, and this is a real live person, again, who's going to help you set up with a plan moving forward. If you already have an existing IRA, that's okay, they'll roll it over for you. And you might even be eligible for a no-fee-for-life IRA. Again, when you call that number right there on the screen, guys, this is a great hedge against inflation, a great hedge against the dollar. You can stock up on your precious metals here as well, guys. And they're #1 rated gold IRA dealer by Consumer Affairs for 5 years in a row. Just outstanding customer service coming from these guys. So again, when you call this number on the screen, this is a preferred number for Press for Truth viewers. And again, this is a live person, not some automated system, who's going to help you get set up with a plan. Guys, do yourself a huge favor. Call this number on the screen today. And if you don't want to talk to a real person, you can just fill out this form here. There is a link located for that in the description below. So be sure to check out my friends at Patriot Gold Group today, guys. All right, so I want to talk about what's going on with this purchase of the radiation drug, anti-radiation sickness drug that officials are insisting has nothing to do with Vladimir Putin's nuke threats. But before we do, guys, let's take a look at this massive cover-up that seems to be taking place right now at the Nord Stream pipeline. Europe is investigating what caused 3 pipelines in Nord Stream network to burst in an act of suspected sabotage. I don't think it can really be suspected anymore. I mean, this was a massive operation that was obviously carried out with the intentions of pointing the finger of blame at Russia. This happened near Swedish and Danish waters that Moscow quickly sought to pin on the West, suggesting that the United States stood to gain. And of course they do. I mean, who else does? Clearly, the Russians don't. I mean, as I said here, Putin could have just turned the taps off if he wanted to, but that would imply Moscow losing key strategic leverage over the EU, which wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. So let's continue. Nord Stream 2 AG, Switzerland-based operator of the gas pipeline, said on Tuesday it will examine the condition of the leaking pipelines once a police investigation of the crime scene is completed and a cordon is lifted. Later on Tuesday, Nord Stream AG operator of the older Nord Stream 1 pipeline said that they'd been told by Danish authorities that receiving the necessary permits to carry out an inspection could take over 20 working days. My friends, a lot can happen in just under 3 weeks when it comes to covering up a crime of this nature. According to the Swedish authorities, they've got a ban on shipping, anchoring, diving, using underwater vehicles, geophysical mapping, etc. They do not want anyone looking into this in any way, shape, or form. This ban was introduced to conduct a state investigation around the damaged sites in the Baltic Sea, Nord Stream said in a press release. So this is a case of the perpetrators investigating themselves. Pressure has been stabilized. Switzerland-based Nord Stream 2 said in emails that it's cooperating with all the relevant authorities. And who's running the show? We got the Copenhagen police who are handling this investigation of the crime scene at the Nord Stream 2 leak in the Danish EEZ, or the Exclusive Economic Zone. And side note, guys, Copenhagen police are brutal. I was arrested once by the Copenhagen police, thrown in a jail cell there in Copenhagen. If you want to check out that video, guys, you can watch this one. Luke Rudowski and Dan Dix arrested at Bilderberg 2014 there in Copenhagen. But I digress. Let's just jump right into this. Obviously, there's a big cover-up here happening with Nord Stream, and now we have the U.S. purchasing these drugs for use in potential nuclear emergencies. Here we have the HHS release. This is which I will put in the link in the description below, guys, if you want to read all of this for yourself, and I encourage you to do so. But let's just get into the article here. The U.S. government said the procurement of Nplate was not in response to the war in Ukraine, the Telegraph reported. An HSS spokesman told the Telegraph, "This is part of our ongoing work for preparedness and radiological security. It has not been accelerated by the situation in Ukraine." The State Department last week urged all Americans to leave Russia as soon as possible in the wake of the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines. The official reasoning they gave was to avoid getting conscripted in the mobilization effort, but that logic only applied to dual citizens, and their advisory was for all Americans. As I noted at the time, the real reason that they told everyone to leave is more likely the risk of a full-blown war breaking out due to the US, Ukrainian, or Poland being responsible for the belligerent bombing of the Nord Stream pipelines, while Russia has issued statement after statement warning the US that they will use nuclear weapons to defend their territory, and they're, quote, not bluffing. The US has been shipping billions in high-tech weaponry to Ukraine to attack Russian forces and to strike inside Russia. And I reported on exactly that, guys, in this video, Putin not bluffing over nuclear weapons, with the great world conflict coming in the next 2 months. That, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from the president of Serbia. As he warns of great world conflict within the next 2 months, the president of Serbia has warned that the planet is entering into great conflict that could take place within the next 2 months. Here it is. "I assume that we're leaving the phase of the special military operation and approaching a major armed conflict. And now the question becomes, where is the line? And whether after a certain time, maybe a month or two even, we will enter into a great world conflict not seen since the Second World War," he said. Chilling words coming from the president of Serbia. Let's continue. Just last week, Congress voted to send another $12.3 billion in military and economic aid to Ukraine. Biden said in February after the war broke out that Americans should not be worried about a nuclear war, then spent the next 8 months antagonizing Russia and China with endless provocations to make nuclear war even more likely now than ever, ladies and gentlemen. So I just wanted to bring all of this to your attention, guys. They are stockpiling right now on this radiation drug. They're in the middle of investigating themselves as part of this huge cover-up for, as I said, the Nord Stream pipeline false flag, which is a war on Germany, not Ukraine. That's what you need to know. Be sure to check out that video if you haven't seen that one, guys. Don't forget to check out my friends at Patriot Gold Group as well, who are going to help you get set up with a plan moving forward. Again, this is a free number to call. You'll get set up with the person. If you call within these business hours right here, you'll talk to a real live person who's going to help you get set up with a plan moving forward. Guys, do yourself a big favor today. Be sure to give this number a call or check the link in the description. And that's all for today, my friends. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to share this one with your friends and family who you think need to see this video the most. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button. Be sure to subscribe to me here on whatever platform you happen to be watching this on. And stay tuned, my friends. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.